how to apply as a spouse to come into UK if you are living abroad. This topic has been things we need to digest for those who are settled here or British people who are here and they want to bring their spouse to join them here. It's not only British people, it's not only those who are settled here. EU people who are already here with even limited leave before 31st December 2020 can also apply on this route to bring their spouse as well into UK. So let's look at the requirements that they need to fulfill this application. This application has been there for a long time, but it seems people are not taking opportunity out of this application, especially those with a British citizen and especially those who are settled here. And just recently, they've added the EU nationals who are already having limited leave or indefinite here can also make an application towards that. It could be under Appendix EU or the immigration rules per se. So let's look at first what we talked about, what we're going to discuss about eligibility criteria. Normally, the way Home Office have done their immigration rules, they've classified the requirements under eligibility and suitability. First, let's look at the eligibility bits of the visa application for spousal. When you look at this eligibility, you have to meet something we call relationship requirement. When we talk about relationship requirement, what does it entail? First, we have to know that you being the sponsor, when I talk about the sponsor here, you are the EU, either EU national, or you are a person settled here, or you are a British citizen. So on that basis, when we talk about the relationship, have you met your spouse? That's the first question you need to ask yourself. Fine. If you met it, what are the arrangement? Are you married to your spouse or not? You have to show, in this case, the relationship, you have to show that you are married to your spouse, wherever that person is. So what are you going to use to show whether you are married to your spouse or not? Obviously, it's the marriage certificate. And we have to know that is the marriage still genuine and subsisting? Because these are the things we think or we overlooked at it, especially the genuine and subsisting. Because if you don't take care, you end up, or the Home Office will say, no, I don't see the marriage being genuine and subsisting. And on that basis, I suspect something we call marriage of convenience. For immigration rules, you want to bring the person here. That's the marriage of convenience. So we have to make sure that the marriage is genuine and subsisting. And also, another thing they look at it is the age-wise. Be that in order to contract a marriage, at least both parties have to be over 18. So these are the things, the relationship side, you have to meet. Let's talk about the second one, being the financial bit. The financial bit, I will personally put it aside for now and go into details. So you have to meet the financial bit as well. And also, the third one you have to meet is the English language. The English language is another thing they're expecting, because UK economy, the way they've done it in such a way that whenever you come in here, they're expecting you to adapt with the economy, their system, the way of life they live here. So you're not going to say you can't speak the English in such a way that when you are offered a job somewhere and they ask you to communicate in English, you find it difficult. So on that basis, if you are the spouse and they've applied for visa and you come in here, before the visa, they're expecting you to do the English language at level A1. And here, there are a lot of exemptions if you can show. These are fine. You might say, no, I've got a first degree. And they will ask you, where did you have your first degree? You have to show them, is it overseas or abroad? If it's overseas or abroad, you have to show, or you have to let a group organization in UK here called 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 UK to assess your academic and transcript to see whether it meets the English language standard. And also, if you had your education in UK here with your first degree, postgraduate and others, you don't need to go or use your certificate to access to 𝗃𝗃 and 𝗃𝗃𝗃. On that point, you meet the English language requirement. And also, the next or the last bit of the requirement we're going to talk about is adequate accommodation. And this adequate accommodation is normally on the part of the sponsor. You are bringing your spouse. Where you living? Is it going to create overcrowded? But hopefully, under the Housing Act 1985, 1 bedroom is even enough for you and your spouse to live in over there. So as long as you're able to meet all these things, then hopefully you can make that application to Home Office. And that application is a bits and pieces together in such a way that you have to even do the tuberculosis test. Because you are coming UK for more than 6 months, you have to do that tuberculosis test as part of the requirement. And also you have to pay for something we call IHS, being Immigration Health Surcharge as well, and the Home Office fee. Currently, the IHS fee is $1,560 for 30 months. And also, what you have to do, or the application fee as well, is $1,523. And this, let's say if you are in Ghana, it is equivalent to $1 rate. So that will, on that very day you are processing the application, online application, it will convert the dollar rate into a pound for you to make that payment. So we have to be very careful about the rate, how the rate keeps changing as well. So let's come back to what we call the financial requirement.
Okay.
The reason why I left the financial requirement late is it entails a lot. And you need to meet that requirement. Let's start with what normally, if you are in a benefit year UK, the sort of benefits that cascade you for not to meet the financial requirements. These are, if you are in receipt of something we call carer's allowance, you don't need to meet the financial requirement. Another one is if you are in disability living allowance as well, severe disablement allowance, you don't need to meet the financial requirement. Industrial injury, disability, disabled benefits, you don't need to meet the financial requirement. I'm talking about if you are the sponsor. And also, if you are in receipt of attendance allowance, you don't need to meet the financial requirement. Not these things. You might happen you were a police officer, and on that basis, you got injured. If you've been offered police injury pension, you don't need to meet the financial requirement. Okay. And also, if you are in the armed forces and they've offered you armed force independence payment, you don't need to meet the financial requirement if you bring in your spouse here. So these are the benefits, receipts you are that can help you not to meet the financial requirement. But let's come to whereby you're supposed to meet the financial requirement. The financial requirements are in such a way that you need to, you the sponsor, if you bring in your spouse, you need to meet 18,600 per annum. That's the gross. It's not the net, it's rather the gross. We need to be careful about that. So in this case, if you are, let's say, I am an employer, I am an employee, and I want to meet the financial requirement, I have to meet the 18,600 per annum. In order for you to, the rules or the requirement says that you have to show your 6 months pay slips, 6 months bank statement. So when you look at it, you work it out of the 6 months pay slips, does it meet the 18,600? So half of 18,000 will be 9,000 something. So your first pay slips will determine whether you meet the 18,600 or not. Let me be cautious about this 18,600 because we always look at it that how can I raise that 18,600 to meet the financial requirement? As I said earlier, this is a gross, it's not the net. The net is after they've taken the tax and the national insurance. So before they take that national insurance and the tax, this 18,600 must be met. But we look at it in such a way that because of the coronavirus concession which is going on and which has affected all sort of employment in this country, the Home Office have incorporated something we call coronavirus concession. The meaning of this is that, let's say you want to go and bring your spouse from, let's say, Ghana, and all of a sudden, because of your employment issue, you can't meet the 18,600, being from March now. But when we look at back before the coronavirus season, being March 2020, before March 2020, you were working hard, you were earning a lot. And on that basis, you can prove that you meet the 18,600 before the coronavirus. The Home Office coronavirus concession allowed the case worker or the decision maker to consider that. And also, let's say whilst you are working, you haven't got enough money, but your employer has some sort of put you on furlough. That one as well, the Home Office will look at the sort of percentage they pay you out of the furlough, and they will work it out, taking it to be, instead of the 80%, they will take it to be 100% for you to meet the financial requirement. And there are so many ways of meeting the financial requirement. One is from your employment. The other one is from you being a self-employed, because the self-employed is another issue. If you don't look at it well, you get it wrong. Because the self-employed, you have to make sure that you file your tax returns, and it should be the last 2 years for them to take average of it and see whether you meet the financial requirement or not. Here, we call something S302. These are the things the HMRC used to assess. So you have to produce all these things as a self-employed as part of your application, whether you meet the 18,600 or not. And the other one was want us to, if you're a company director as well, you have to show your tax you pay and all these things. Also, what we have to look at it in terms of, let's say, I've got pensions and that kind of thing. You can also use them as part of the financial requirement. But what I'm more interested is we are into some sort of, we always look at it that, oh, lawyer, I've got my savings and that. How can I use my savings to finance someone to come into UK, being my spouse? Because the savings calculation is also a bit not easy or not straightforward, if I may put it that way. Because when you look at the savings, if you, the sponsor, you've got some savings over there, the calculation on the savings thing is saying that at least you being the sponsor, you have to make sure that you have enough savings in order to sponsor your partner. And the figure involved is somewhere about 62.5, that's 62,500 in order for you, because there is a calculation over there for us to, if I try to go in, but I think the callers, our people might not get what I'm trying to say. So for now, Manyeti, what I would like to say is these are the sum up of what you have to make, that's the requirements in order for you to make an application for your spouse to join you in UK here.
Okay, Lawyer Francis. I had some few questions in mind, but as you were explaining further, I was just getting my answers. All right. You know, with the financial aspect of the whole thing, sometimes it's kind of tricky, but I think you've covered it as much as possible for us to understand the details. But let me ask this just simple question. You know, when it comes to showing the 18,000, that aspect alone, I really want the viewers or the listeners to get the meaning properly, because someone may ask, I earn 18,000 a year, but calculating the 18,000, the way I understood it, if I'm earning 18,000, so when they divide that 18,000 into, for instance, 12, then probably I'm getting like 1,002 or 1,000 for a month. So on my pay slip, and if I have that gross 1,000 for a month, and they are doing their calculation, would they automatically know that? Then that, when you calculate that times the 12, that is where I'm earning the 18,000, or I must have exactly 18,000 in showing in the account before they will accept it, if you understand my question a bit.
Yeah, if I had it right, you're trying to find out whether the 18,600 has to be sitting in your account on that very day you are making application.
That is what somebody is thinking, because I've just had one test message on that.
Okay, yeah, that's right. What the law, or what the financial requirements entails is, it doesn't mean that your 18,600 has to sit in your account in order to make the application.
Okay.
Because when we look at it, it's not all of us that work and save the money. Some are used to pay the bills. Some are used to pay our rent, council tax, our daily routine. But they want to know that, does this money comes to you every month?
Okay.
If it comes to you, definitely you also let it go out on your part of your expenditure and your expenses. But they want to know that this money comes to you. That's what you've been paid every month.
Okay.
That's what they want. But they don't want the situation whereby you said, it's sitting in my account.
Exactly. Okay. So it doesn't really matter if I get 18,000 a year, or I break it down, I get like 1,004, 1,005 a month, and I spend everything. So at the end of the month, I'm still under zero, or maybe £100 left in the account, but you can read that from the statement. Would that affect me, that maybe I spend almost all my money? So will I still be able to look after somebody? Because if just an individual like me wants my husband to come to me and I'm earning 18,000, yes, but when I spend my expenditure, you could see from the statement that it really goes to zero. So one person, I'm spending more than 1,005 because of expenditure or expenses I've got. Would that affect me, or it doesn't really matter?
Well, Manyati, in this case, let me be a bit frank with the figure. The figure is 18,600, not 18. Okay. So in this case, yeah, if the money comes into your account and you've been spending your money all the time, nothing stops you or you saying, I can't make that application. Okay. What the Home Office look at it is, when we look at it from the last 6 months, where is your source of income?
Okay, constant.
Where is it coming from?
Okay.
You see? So when it comes in, the way you spend your money, they're not looking at that side.
Thank you. That's all I want to know.